What's up, everybody? Evan here for Grips.com, continuing with Project Get Me Stackin'. Today we got another question on game selection, and it's going to help you guys find the profitable spots and the profitable games that are going to help you have the highest expectation and make the most money. It's probably going to be a slightly shorter video than usual, but I'm sure you guys won't mind. And the only reason it's going to be shorter is because it's a pretty straightforward and easy to cover topic. So let's get right into it. Hi, Evan. Wondering when is the best time to be playing online? I have set a goal to only play 2 days a week because I am finding that if I play less, I play better poker in the long run. I am just trying to figure out what days and what times to play. I play mostly MTTs and single table sit and goes, and strictly play on 888 poker. Thanks for getting me stacking, you to man boy. And in this video, I'm also going to talk about the best times and days to play cash games as well, since it's really a little bit easier to go through the game selection process while playing cash games than it is playing multi-table tournaments. But we'll also talk a little specifically about 888 poker, since our questioner is wondering about that. Anyway, let's just go straight into the presentation. We know the importance of game selection. We're looking for soft spots. We're looking for easy games. We're looking for less competition so we can have an easier time making the money, a higher expectation, and having a winning session and bringing home that bank. So, what are the best times to be playing poker? And before I start the presentation, I would like you to just write down on a piece of paper or type out on a Word document, rather than just saying out loud, when do you think the best time to be playing online poker or live poker is, for that matter, and maybe your reasons for doing so. If you really want to get into it, pause the video, but if not, I will go ahead and give you my answers and my reasons. See if they line up with yours. Well, we're looking for the easy money, so where's it at? Number one, by far and away, it's going to be from drunk people. Drunk people are completely irrational. They don't know what they're doing. They're also extremely overconfident, and a lot of people, when they're drunk, think that they are the best poker player in the world and will be really reckless in their play, in their game selection, in their limit selection. And although it's really unfortunate for that person the next day when they wake up, if you aren't the one trying to take their money, someone else is going to be taking it, so you don't need to feel too bad about it. And they are a extremely lucrative spot for any sober and focused poker player. Number two is going to be from recreational players. People who don't study the game every day, don't play every day. They just aren't going to understand all the spots and intricacies as well as you do, which is definitely going to give you an edge. But just because they're recreational players doesn't mean that they won't have, a good amount of money to take shots at the games. A lot of these people have real jobs or run their own businesses that affords them the luxury of being able to play poker for fun. Now, unlike the drunk people who are just totally crazy and out of their mind, you do want to give the recreational players some credit, because although these guys might not put in the same amount of hours that you do on their game, a lot of them still pride themselves in doing the best job they can and playing really well. And some of them definitely have some game. They just probably don't have quite the same bankroll and discipline that you do as a strong professional. Third is going to be from weaker regulars, anyone who you play against who you might understand their game better than they do, or you understand their game much better than they do yours. You know some leaks they have that they aren't fixing. Anyone who you think you have an advantage over is going to be someone who is easier money than, obviously, a tough regular. The cool thing about regulars is they have a lot more in their bankroll and a lot more for you to potentially win from them than a recreational player or a drunk person, who usually will have one, maybe two bullets that they plan on putting in play. Now, obviously, you're going to have to work harder to get money from the weaker regulars, and it's going to take maybe more hands to actually get the job done. But if you really know someone's game inside out, you should be able to consistently make bits and pieces of profit off them that eventually will add up to quite a lot. And number four is just anyone who doesn't study or understand as much as you do about the game. Um, if you work harder than your opponents and your opponents are consistently being lazy and they're staying the same and you're consistently getting better, obviously you're going to develop an edge on them. And eventually they may become easy money for you. Um, just because someone's good doesn't mean you can't get better than them. And yeah, anyone who's lazy about their game and just has a system that they're going to follow and they're never going to change, they're never going to adapt, is someone who you are going to be able to beat if you put in the effort to figuring out what they're doing wrong. Okay, so we know who we're looking for, and the order is kind of the preferred one. You're looking for the number one before you're looking to play with number four. But if you can't find any number twos in the mix, you're happy to play with the number threes. You take what you can get, but we want the highest concentration of ones and twos if we want to maximize our expectation for the times we decide to play poker. The first time that the concentration of these players is going to be highest is evenings. Reason being, a lot of these people either have school or real jobs. So during the day, they're doing their studies, they're doing their homework, or they're working their job. And, credit goes out to them. Obviously, a lot of respect for anyone who is taking their schooling seriously or really passionate about their career. I think that's awesome. And just because you're like a poker player, you're an awesome pro poker player, does not mean you shouldn't give these people credit for doing a great thing, working hard, helping society. But when are they going to be around? Evenings, when they're done with their other works and duties for the day. Second time the concentration of these players will be highest, pretty much for the same reason, is on weekends. And even more so you got a bigger window on weekends because they don't have to go to sleep to go to work the next day. They have all day that potentially they can be playing poker. So evenings and weekends are really when you're going to see the highest mix of recreational players. And evenings specifically is when you're going to find the most drunk people. And that's why number three is Free Money Friday. It's a beautiful thing, Free Money Friday. It's a mix of a weekend with an evening. And a lot of people, payday's Thursday. And we like to go party on Friday. Sometimes people chit chat about poker at the bar and they're like, yeah, I can play poker. When they get home, they're like, yeah, I'm going to log on. I'm going to show some people how good I am at poker. And usually it doesn't work out that well. But a lot of not as skilled players come out to play on Friday nights. And just because it's not Friday night where you are, doesn't mean it's not Friday night somewhere else. So even if it's Friday afternoon where you are, or really early Saturday morning where you are, it may be Friday night somewhere else. And if you're playing on the right site, where the main demographic is from another time zone or another country, you may be able to capitalize on Free Money Friday, even when it's not actually Friday where you are. Number four, when poker sites are running promotions, like when PokerStars does their billion hand giveaway, 100 billion hand giveaway, that attracts a lot of, jackpot hunters and gamblers and more just like casual players. So when big promotions are running, big giveaways are going on, there are probably going to be more twos in the mix than normally. And finally, just when the number of players online is high. There are only so many good players out there and so many elite players out there. So once you get over a certain threshold, a lot of those are going to be twos or threes. Um, there can be a lot of ones, but probably not all at once. Now, most of this information is like directly applicable to cash games and sit and goes because you can actually choose which games you play. You can choose which lineups you sit in and select from the ones that are offered. MTTs, there's the schedule, and those are the events that run, and you can choose which tournament you play. But yeah, in terms of like field selecting, it's pretty tough in an MTT since there's so many people in them. The big thing with MTTs, though, to get that value, is to think about time zone and how long the tournament will last. MTTs are a really long grind, provided it's not a turbo or a hyper turbo. And a lot of new players don't realize this at all when they register for a tourney. And they may A, have somewhere to be a couple hours after it started, not thinking that they'll do well or not realizing how long the thing takes to win. Or B, they may not have the energy to make it through a late night. So if you're taking your game seriously and you want to have the best chance at making the most money when you're playing these MTTs, since all the big money is at the end, you want to try to register for tourneys that start late in the countries of your competitors. I know for 888 specifically, there's usually a flag beside each player's name who's registered. So this can give you an idea of the main demographic that you'll be playing against. And if you know it's a 6-hour tournament and it's starting at 10 p.m. or midnight of the main demographic you're playing against, that's going to be a pretty good spot for you because most people are not at their freshest and finest between 4 and 6 a.m. Now, obviously the schedule, you're mainly going to be playing against people in the same time zone as you, but whether you start in the evening or in the morning should be highly dependent on that kind of time zone factor and what you think the makeup of the field is going to be. How many 2s and 3s are you going to get in there? Can you get some 1s in there? Because drunk people in tournaments, they punt hard. They give away some big stacks that they were able to build by luck boxing. And it can really make things easier for you if you can hold off that bad beat. So for tournament play specifically, I would say Saturday and Sunday are probably your best option. That's when by far you're going to have the most 2s and 3s. And evenings probably get you more 1s. But I forgot to list the people who play and don't have the time to actually finish the event. Those should be maybe a number 5 on the list. And there are going to definitely be more of those on the weekends because people just have other commitments. Things come up. And the lower the buy-in of the tournament, the more likely you are to find people who, just registered for fun, didn't expect to do well, and will just leave the computer after a few hours. This happens especially all the time in free rolls. Now, I'm not sure where the majority of the player pools on each site are from, but with some research, it may be possible to find out. And that wraps up my presentation on when you should be playing if you want to find the softest games. I think it's very smart, at least at first, or if you're playing part-time, to really limit your days that you play poker and make it only 2 or 3 per week. That's still a high enough frequency that you're not going to get rusty and forget what you've learned. But at the same time, it's not so high that you run the risk of getting burnt out or tired or fed up with the game. You don't have to deal with variance and swings every day, which for some people can be emotionally taxing. And yeah, you get a nice time to cool down and reset before the next session, which is very good. If you play every single day, when you have losing sessions, you're more likely to want to try to chase them the next day most of the time. And when you have winning sessions, you're more likely to feel overconfident and possibly not play your best the next day for those same reasons. So I think having that day off or 2 days off in between is really good to reset. Now, if you can, spend a little bit of those days studying to stay sharp so that when you come back for your next session, you're going to know even more. You're going to be more prepared and stronger and more dangerous at the table and able to make better decisions. But if you can't, no big deal. I think it's very smart to limit your days. And that way, instead of playing an hour each day, maybe 2 days a week, you get to play 4 hours, 6 hours. I don't know. You get to get into it a lot more. You get to enjoy it a lot more instead of it having to be a rush, kind of forced, not as pleasurable experience because it's just so like, oh man, I got to get in, I got to get my money, and then I got to get out. Whereas when you have a nice block of time, like, okay, I can chill, I can sit, make my decisions, and if I start out losing, I have plenty of time to get it back, and that really helps for the peace of mind. But yeah, that's really all there is to it, in my opinion. Ask yourself, where is the easy money, and when is it going to be in play? because that's definitely when you want to be playing if you are limited in how often you will get to session. So, um, anyone who has their 2 cents to add on this, please post them in the comments below. Start that discussion between you guys. Maybe you know of a super soft secret time that I don't know about and you want to tell the guys, or maybe you don't. That's okay. Don't feel the need to. If you have any questions for Project Get Me Stackin, please send them to evan@grips.com with the subject line Get Me Stacking. And I'm actually happy. I'm starting to get some repeat questions or questions that are very similar to other ones, which means that you guys are asking the questions that your peers also want to know the answers to. So that means the project is helping. People are getting the knowledge that they so desire. So I'm really happy about that. The more times I see a question, I'm like, ooh, I did do a video response to that. And I think it was pretty comprehensive. And it's the same as this guy's asking. It's really nice to see. So if you're going to send in a question, though, make sure you check out all the videos that are already here so that since you're probably only going to do one, you make sure it's a new question that could get its own video response because you want to have everything touched on. And finally, if you're enjoying this series, you're finding it helpful to your game, please subscribe to my channel below and just show your support for the Grips Get Stackin' project. I hope you found the video informative and insightful. Maybe it got you thinking that you want to reset your schedule, be a little more organized in when you play your sessions rather than just playing whenever you can. You're going to appreciate the session more if you actually plan it out and it's something to look forward to rather than just getting it in whenever you can find a few minutes. Anyway, this has been Evan for Grips.com saying